put that up there on the screen?
It wasn't me. Just so you know.
I got skunked so bad last night, it ain't even funny.
I didn't even know you was going out last night.
It was a last minute. I let Betty, I was talking to Betty Jean, saying, "You're gonna die someday, and you're gonna wish you went fishing one more time," something like that. So she talked me into it. Is what she did.
That's kind of what she did.
She does. She does. She's probably watching right now.
She's eating
some. She sent me pictures of some weird thing she was eating. I don't even know what it was. It's the Appalachians.
What?
I don't know. We'll talk later.
Oh, okay.
She sends me pictures of what she eats every night for dinner, what she makes just to rub it in. So,
oh, okay.
I did have pizza. What'd you have for dinner, Lyle?
Channel cat. Fried.
How'd you cook it? Fried?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. So why don't we start the show? Welcome to Panfish Nation. My name is Mark, co-host of the great Lyle Stokes, icon of the catfishing world and now the panfishing world as well.
I'd really like catching bluegill.
Yeah, I like them too. I like them big Mendota ones. They're fun, but I think they might be even done. Them channel cats are up there, I hear, but we'll see if I get a chance to go out there. Them trips add up. I've been out there like, 5 times? And each trip's like $100. It's like, okay, I think I need to lay off for a little bit, fish a little local. So
only money.
Yeah.
Get the credit card out. I'll help you with that.
I don't have that Lyle Stokes money.
That's Chad Fields.
Chad Fields money. Oh, sorry. He posted, I just saw like right before we went live, I saw a picture of him talking about fitting a 2X shirt.
Really? Good for him.
Good for him. It's still, we need proof that it's a regulation 2X, so we got to make sure. We got people popping up
2Xs that I can't wear anymore.
What kind of weather are we looking at by you, Lyle? We got to talk about the weather. We're old. We like weather.
Dude, man, it has been knockout gorgeous. It is 69 degrees right now. We do have some light rain coming in this evening, but it's going to have a low of about 59 tonight.
We got 60 degrees, and it's been raining on and off all day. I got the boat in the garage last night at like 3 a.m., and as soon as I hit that garage door button, I heard rain hitting my tonneau cover on my truck, so I made it in there just in time.
Just in the nick of time, yeah.
Perfect. I don't mind getting wet so much in the summer, but when it's 48 degrees outside, it's the last thing I want to do.
Is that what the temperature was for you? Is that last time?
When I got home, it was 48 outside. It was a little chilly. It was nice until about 2 or like 1 in the morning. And then it kind of dropped. The wind kicked up a little bit. So it was like 50. It was like 52 degrees, 50 degrees with like a 6 mile an hour wind. So it got kind of cold.
But it don't take much of that wind when it's cool like that to be kind of miserable.
Especially if you got like the dampness in the air, which at that time of night you do. Whenever the air temps are colder than the water temps, you get that, and it gets pretty heavy. A couple of I always, I like to finish my night fishing closer to the boat ramp. It just makes life a lot easier for me. I'm not having to travel in the dark for, like 8 miles, which I've done it in the past before, but so on that little river, it'll pucker you up, if you know what I mean.
There's a couple of things about going out in a boat at night or even in the day, especially if it's something new to you. I always try to go up the current. That way, if something happens, you can always
float back.
That, and now if you trust your boat like I trust mine, it doesn't really matter. But if you're not 100% on it, then the best thing to do is always go up river. Now, the other thing is you start out at your furthest distance you want to fish, and like you say, you fish back to the ramp. That way, you're close in case something goes wrong, and you can just get right in and get loaded up and go home.
Yeah, I never thought about that floating back. That's a great idea. What I do is I clear my tracks when I get on the river, right? And I'll fish usually I'll go to like the farthest spot I want to fish down the river. So let's say, it's still daylight out and I'm traveling. I'll go, 8 to 10 miles down river, whatever. And I'll just have a track to follow back at night when it's dark.
Right.
Exactly. That river's pretty skinny in some spots. And like I said, it'll pucker your hiney up pretty good.
Well, that river that you have is not only skinny, it's narrow, shallow, I mean, if you're familiar with it, that's okay, but so many people are not. And I'm thinking it would probably be wise to do like you do and be safe. You got to get back on it. You just have.
You can create, I know on the Garments, you can create like a permanent track that when you do hit the delete, it's always there. One of these days I'll figure out how to do that, and I'll set one up from from one dam to the other. This way I got something to look at. It's a lot safer. I mean, one of the biggest problems is, it's not like there isn't a lot of lights on the side of the river. It's a lot of homes, and they got all sorts of red and green lights. You don't know if they're boats when you're coming up on them.
Right.
They're kind of deceiving. Some of those docks are way out further than others. I've gotten pretty close to the end of a dock at like 30 miles an hour in the pitch black. That'll do that. And it'll happen when you're tired and you've been, let's say you're live streaming. That's one of the big problems. Having them lights in your boat will blow your night vision out for sure. And if you don't take a few minutes to adjust to it, sometimes it doesn't come back for quite some time, especially, being my old butt, but it just is what it is. That will make do.
You're telling me about old, really?
Yeah, I'm old and cranky. What can I say? But at least I got out. I mean, the baits were kicking all night. First spot that I went to, I was fishing a point and a river bend in a deep spot with some rocks on the side. I thought for sure we'd do good, and that's where I got the one bite off over on the channel ledge. Stole my bait, took it right off the darn hook. Other than that, it was dead the rest of the night. I was busy talking to myself. I had a bunch of good people on my live stream, but I think a lot of them were sleeping. I don't know if it's because I have a soothing voice, puts people to sleep, or I'm boring. It could be one or the other. I don't know.
Flathead fishing, as you do it, is a skilled thing. And if you're not prepared to be out there all night and wait for one bite, you might ought to fish for blues or channel.
It can be that way. I know a lot of guys even Ryan, he might come in here later. He's been having some success. They've been running and gunning. They've been fishing a lot of way south of where I fish, which is good and bad. I'm just not willing to make that trip in the middle of the night. And I'm not willing to pay that $20 ramp fee to launch down there when I have the great sponsor of Port Barrington Marina. Thanks, JT.
Heck yeah, man.
There's no reason for it. I mean, I might go down there one time in the next week or so, just to see if them fish are out there. There's a no wake zone. It's about half a mile long at that end before the dam, and a lot of guys are catching them over there. I might give it a shot. It's been a long time since I fished over there. I know our buddy Jonathan over at Hooked, he spent some time down there by that bridge and stuff. Not to give away any
fishes all over that Fox River, don't he?
He does. He's been spending a lot of time, like we were talking about them finding that car from that missing woman from the mid 80s or 70s. He fishes that stretch an awful lot, not to give up any spots. It's one of the flathead guys that fishes down here. His name's Brandon. Me and him had a talk one day. I'm like, I don't want to fish your spots or anything. He says they're all community spots, and none of them they're all public spots. That's on a small river like that, you can't avoid it. So
no, you can't.
Look at this. Joe Buck's been a member for 30 months. He says, I made it. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Joe Buck, for your support. We appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely. Glad to see you in here tonight.
Let me get the list of people in chat up. We'll say hello. I want to say hello to 922 Crappie Barbecue. How you doing, bud? There's Buck Williams in the house. Our buddy Bug Man. How you doing, Buggy? Danny's still out there. Danny, what's going on, bud? Pontoon Jody Catfishing. There's Aaron. What's going on? How you doing, Aaron? And there's Matt in the house. If you're watching, we got a bunch of people watching. I don't think too many of them are chatting. I noticed that's been going on a lot on YouTube. A lot of people are watching. It's like I had, it was 1 a.m. I had 36, 40 people in there most of the night, and they're just watching, waiting for some action or something, plain and simple, which is fine.
You catch a fish and they all come to life.
They all come to life. They definitely do. But I didn't catch a fish, so everybody was dead last night. Holy smokes. Oh, and Burrito Catfish Lady. What's going on, Lisa? How you doing? Look, she's calling Danny mean old DSO.
Well, it is what it is.
She only knew how good a person Danny was. Danny's a good man. Me and him got to share an adult beverage at CatCon. What was it, the year before last? It was good hanging out with him.
Danny?
Yeah, oh yeah. Downstairs at the hotel over there. Stacia was with him too, I believe, if I remember it. I could be wrong. Again, I'm going to use my age as an excuse.
Okay. Works for me.
922 Crappie Barbecue says, drive around in a circle for an hour in the fog. That was sketchy and hilarious. I was 100 feet from the ramp.
Wow.
I can see how that happens. A lot of times, and I explained this last night, I'm looking at my sonar, right? And I'm looking for that drop in our little shallow river where it's 6 foot maximum depth, average of like 4 feet. I'm looking for, let's say, a 6 or a 7 foot hole that's maybe, I don't know, 50 by 50 feet by 50 feet, big round. I'm doing circles around the river. I look up and I'm like, I have no idea where I'm at in the dark. Sometimes that'll happen too. Or if it's foggy out, you get lost. I went and actually bought one of them pucks, GPS pucks for my GPS on my sonar, on my fish finder, just so I always knew what direction my boat was pointed. Because if you're stopped, it doesn't know which direction the front of the boat's pointed.
No, that's right.
Unless you got that enhanced GPS in it on your boat. So that was like $160 just to know which way I'm facing in the dark.
Oh, you didn't get that?
Oh, I did get that. I did.
I was getting ready to say, we can add it on, I'm quite sure.
I was going to say, I was just thinking to myself how to work it in about it. Like, you should have been there, Lyle. I'd have made you proud when I ordered that sucker.
Yeah, I can help you with that.
So you've been tying jigs last week, Lyle? You've been doing any more of that?
I have been tying jigs. I tie jigs all the time. It's addictive. It takes your mind. It's kind of like fishing. It takes your mind off of a lot of other things. And I like doing it. I just like doing it. But, I probably got 2 or 3 extras made. Maybe.
Yeah, just a few?
Yeah.
I think I got just a few years you sent me, and I got a couple boxes of them already.
Yeah.
I got to just make the time to use them all. I really appreciate everybody who sends me stuff like that. And I always feel guilty when I don't get to fish with them yet because I just got too much stuff to fish with,
Right. Oh, not me. I don't have enough stuff to fish with.
Well, I'm not going to make any comment to that. I'll leave that for Chad to make a comment to that on Monday nights. They're meaner to you than I am.
Well, they are.
Danny Stone has a comment here. It says, in case y'all haven't noticed, Lyle trims his fingernails with a hunting knife. That's one bad MF.
I keep that knife on my desk all the time. My brother-in-law Tom gave me that some time ago. It was my nephew's, and I keep it up here on my desk. I open envelopes and stuff with it, but I might use it on a finger once in a while.
That's what I always have my Buck 110 auto. Love this thing. I keep it on my desk all the time, but its main duty as of late, since I broke the tip off and had to send it back in to get a new blade, because it does have a lifetime warranty, is letter opener for the most part.
Yep.
I've been noticed to cut some summer sausage with it too. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I do like summer sausage.
But of course, it's clean when I do that. So.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
See if we got anything going on in chat here. There's 922 Crappie Barbecue. What's going on? How are you doing? Jody informed me last night in my live stream that Lyle, and I want you to listen to this, that her mother knows how to cook.
Her mother does.
Her mother does. There's hope for Jody's family yet. So I think Jody's going to start taking some lessons from Mama.
Oh,
maybe learn how to make some food.
Okay. Besides catfish.
I still have my doubts about that whole catfish victory that she had.
So are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting, I'm questioning.
When Jody won that catfish cook-off, that her mother may have mixed up the batter for that?
Hey, I didn't say that. You just put everything together, Lyle. You just put it all together. That's all I'm saying.
Look
Lisa
at there,
says,
922 says, I'm sitting in my garage with the heater on. What the hell?
it's that temperature. You know, I was thinking I should have brought my heater last night at the end of the night there.
Yeah.
You know, once, you know, I swapped out, you know, the water was still cold. We had what, 68 degrees, 67 degrees, most spots. So baits were living pretty good. I didn't have to swap baits out until like the last 2 spots. And what I did, you get your hands wet and then it'd start to get cold. It'd have been nice to have that little buddy heater there to warm my hands up too. But
yeah, your hands is what gets cold and then you're miserable. Hey, Greg Burgess, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's up, Greg? Lisa says, Mark, if you only knew the story behind that mean old Danny Stone comment.
Do tell.
And Bugman uses the age excuse as well, it looks like.
Well,
and Danny Stone's, if you drink with Mark, pace yourself. Trust me. Those were the gold days. Not so much anymore.
Yeah,
we got a new name here, Mr. Smirnoff Outdoors. Lyle, a friend gave me some hand-tied jigs, and I've been having good results. Are they easy to make, and what do I need to get started?
Well, you need a vise, and you need a bobbin for thread. Of course, you need thread, and it depends on what kind they are. I have really been tying a lot of crazy leg jigs that for tail. They have a lot of action in them, but I have also been tying some of these, Mark. I've been tying the fire out of these here lately, and I'm anxious to get them out and try them. I haven't tried them yet. If I can get this up, I'll get the hook out of my finger. These here, now them are about 1 inch and 1/16 long overall. As you can tell by my thumbnail or my fingernail, they're not very long. I think them will be great on bluegill. Those are very simple to tie. I like red thread on a lot of my jigs because all fish have gills and they're all red. So I feel like it's more realistic. I do not believe eyes make any difference in them. But if people want them, we can put them on there. But I put a little flash on the tail, and Mark, the hair on this is off of a coyote tail. So that's a little different than most people don't use coyote tail, but that's what that is. It's the tail off of a coyote that was given to me by a good friend of mine. And I'm just trying those out. I'm anxious to try them and see how they work out. And
Maybe you should call that the Lyle Stokes Roadrunner jig since it's coyote.
You know, to change the subject just a touch, I got a message last night from our old buddy James Dockery. He was kind of rubbing it in. He went to the stock car races up at Moberly. They have a dirt track up there, and they have some Tuesday night special races, special events. And my old buddy Kenny Schrader was up there. I used to race against Kenny back when we was lot younger. Him and Rusty Wallace and Kevin Gundecker and Bo Smith, a bunch of them guys. Anyhow, Kenny was up there and ended up winning the race. So guess who's sending me videos? I'd like to visit with Kenny, but you know, hell, famous as he got, he may not even remember me.
No, you can never forget. You're not easy to forget, Lyle. I'm sure you'd remember.
Really? You think?
You got to just go. You just got to go to some of them races. You got to get out a little more.
I could remind him of some things that we used to do that I better bring back some memories to.
Yeah, then he might not. He might turn
around and walk off.
He'd be like, I don't know this guy. I have no idea what he's talking about.
We talk about racing with those guys. Rusty Wallace was the guy that always get you in trouble. He'd go into them after the races. Sometimes we go to bars, and there'd be a whole bunch of us in them bars, and Rusty start a fight and leave you with them. He was gone. He'd hang out. He was a shit disturber from way back.
Yeah, I knew a bunch of guys like that growing up, man. They would start a bunch of stuff and they do the Irish goodbye and they're gone. Leave you holding the bag, so to speak.
Oh man, I know some guys like that.
I think I'm going fishing with one of them guys in the next week or so. Looking
Jack, if
forward.
you're really serious about getting into that, you can go to Bass Pro if you're going there, and they have a kit that will come with all the basics you need to get started. That's probably the most economical way to do that, and you get everything to get you going. Of course, you can always message Mark right anytime you need information. We'll try to help you out.
Fishing Fidget's got a question. Is bank fishing only effective in the springtime?
No.
Fishing from a boat makes one spoiled. It sure does.
It does.
Springtime bank fishing's great because all fish are coming shallow. You can't deny that, but there's no reason why you can't. If you can get to a weed edge or something like that, maybe even cast out a little further with a drop shot. There's no reason why bank fishing wouldn't be effective, especially if you got access to some docks and stuff. They're going to be hiding there on really hot, high sun days. I like fishing in the shade of trees. I've had, again, Betty and Brandon were here. It was like 105 degrees out. We went to one spot. All the fish were sitting right under a tree. We just cast a float under that tree and boom, boom, boom. We were catching panfish like crazy.
Love float fishing. I love slip cork fishing. They're one of my favorite ways. But Mark, when we was coming up, when you told me about the show and the topic we was going to do tonight, then what's the number one thing you feel like, whether you're fishing from a bank or a boat, but especially from the bank, that is your number one thing that you look for to find the spot?
Structure, obviously.
Absolutely, 100%. Doesn't matter if it's a weed line, if it's a drop off, if it's a ledge, if it's wood. You got that rocks. You got to have some kind of structure that'll attract the fish. If you can find structure, the fish will be.
Anything that can hold bait and feed bait, even better than just hold bait, you'll be good. Old docks, old sunken logs and stuff like that have heavy algae growth, you're going to find a lot of bait fish around that kind of stuff. It's a good place to start. I'm not guaranteeing you they're going to be there, but there's a good chance. There's a better chance than not that there's going to be something there. I mean, also, just because you're on the bank doesn't mean you can't use some tools that are going to help you. Like one thing, polarized sunglasses. No matter what time of the year, if you can see minnows, you can fish around those minnows and hopefully get on something for the most part. And minnows usually will stay up a little higher to the surface. They'll be like your first indicator that there's a good chance there's going to be fish there. So
that's fact. And bluegill, crappie, warmouth, all panfish eat minnows. They do. They eat other stuff too, but they're just like any other fish. They're looking for an easy meat, and that's where you find it a lot of times is in structure. And I'm not saying you can't catch one out in the open, especially in ponds where there's not a lot of structure. But old wood and rocks, they haul crayfish and stuff like that, and bugs, things like that. That's what they like.
Don't be afraid. All right, well, just like we did when we had the tow show that we did. Well, let me read Aaron's comment here. Aaron says, I have some trout flies. Out of Work Adventures sent me. He made small when the bite. He uses them when the bite is tough on bluegills, and so they work well then.
Yep.
Kevin says this weather sucks. Low in the 40s, high in the 60s. Is it late March or late May? Yeah, no kidding. It's already going to be June, and we're still hovering around in the 60s. It looks like we're going to have some 80s next.
Don't complain about that, because
I'm going to complain about 80s. Daytime 80s, fine. I can stay in air conditioning. I like it at night when it drops down into the 70s. Then I'm a happy man.
You know what's going to happen when this cool weather's over? It's going to be scalding hot. That sun will come out and the wind will quit going and the rain will go away, and here we go.
Buggy's got a comment here. I don't know what a compost is. A nice old-fashioned compass. Stuck on a dash, never failed, been used for centuries. Talking about the GPS. Well, I don't use the GPS to know what direction. I'm looking for it to tell me where I'm at on the river, and according to bank, I want to stay right in the channel where they're going to belong. So
that's right. That's one thing good about the new equipment, Mark. It is, the technology is so good that if you're out at night and you lay down a track going someplace, if you stay on that track coming back, you're probably not going to hit anything because you didn't hit nothing going down.
It's like being in my boat, it's like being a jet pilot. I just driving by wire, looking down at that screen.
I've done that before, especially on real cloudy, stormy nights when it's so dark you can't hardly see your hand in front of your face. And if you stay on that line, if you got there without hitting anything, unless there's something floating, logs or something like that. But I'm pretty conservative if we're in flood situation, logs and things being in the water. I had a couple of incidences in the past that made me that way, but if you stay on that line, you didn't hit anything getting where you're going, you get back pretty much the same way.
I've hit a piece of firewood at the middle of the night. I didn't see. I thought I hit a body. I had to turn around and make sure I didn't pull some corpse up off the bottom of that river. It was we don't have much stuff that comes down, not in the way of like big logs and stuff, but you can still hit something. I've seen a refrigerator floating down that river. I've seen patio furniture, stuff like that. Just because you're not on a big body of water doesn't mean that's
all by the ton.
Yep. Say what you want about the quote unquote Karens over here in this heavily populated area. They'll actually post on Facebook or actually call the Fox River Water Agency and report when they see big logs in the water, and they'll come out right away and scoop that stuff up and take it away.
Really?
Yeah, which is good when it's floating in the middle of the river, but when they're cleaning up the banks and stuff, that I kind of have a problem with. They're taking a lot of good structure out. They've done that in the past too. So
wow.
And also, there's all sorts of underwater problems too. We just had last fall, we had 2 kids on jet skis die because they hit a concrete block underneath the bridge. They didn't go directly under the bridge. They went off on the side and it killed them as soon as they hit them. It was very unfortunate. So it was bad. Keep your head up and keep your mind in the game when you're on that river, especially at night.
I don't know. Something else that is a great asset when you're fishing at night. Another person in the boat to watch for stuff.
Yep.
Especially if you have a really good light, so they can see stuff ahead and tell you not to turn right or left, or there's a log on the right, or whatever. Buoys are hard on boats.
Uh-huh.
They really are.
I've lost a lot of fish in buoys. I got problems with them, but that's another story. And listen, I was talking about boat fishing on a bank fishing show. We got to slow down here. Right. Let me read this comment from Lisa. Try and get caught up on these comments. Lisa says, Mark, I accidentally ended Stan's live, and I'm never going to live it down when it comes to Danny or Bobby. Do you remember when a certain individual that hung out with us, that's on the show with you on Monday nights, had a birthday live stream? Remember that? And I was in Las Vegas feeling pretty good, and I actually ended his birthday stream on him.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so Lisa, I can definitely relate.
Yeah, you heard about that forever.
I even cost me a $50 super chat to try and make it up for him when he restarted it up, and I still ain't lived it down, Lisa. So yeah, don't think they're gonna let that slide anytime soon.
Oh no. Not that he's recommending you give Danny a $50 super chat, but yeah. He might get over that.
Well, it could be too.
I'm thinking Danny, some cold beverage might make him forget about it.
It might make him change, yeah, or some crawfish.
Yeah, he does like crawfish, but so do I.
All right, looks like Aaron's heading out. All right, Aaron, have a good one. Matt says cooking is not hereditary, obviously. I think he's talking about Jody there, huh?
Oh, I would say he probably is, but I wasn't going to go there.
Bugman says, never try to outdrink a person from Northern Illinois or Wisconsin. You will learn. Wisconsin, yes. I don't claim to be a warrior in that aspect. But Wisconsin, yes. I've had, yeah. When I was a young man growing up, the drinking age in Wisconsin was 18. And guess where I was at? Which direction I was headed for when I was 18 years old.
I was 11 miles from the Mississippi River where I grew up. And we would cross over just so when we was 18, just so we could drink. Yeah. Hey, Jeff.
What's going on, Jeff? How you doing?
Sure did.
Nice try, Jack, but he mispronounced your name. Might have done that on purpose, Danny. Might have done this on purpose. Jeff says the majority of the bluegill I caught yesterday were pregnant.
So they haven't nested
yet. They could be. I
found
a bunch of
beds on their next round.
I found a bunch of beds on the river and they were empty last night. I kind of circled around them too. I didn't see any specks in them, like you can with side imaging. Didn't see nothing. Right. All right, let's get back. Oh, excuse me. Let's get back to bank fishing. All right, Lyle. Now, finding bank spots. This is what I do. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that do that too. I go on the Illinois DNR website and I look at all the fishing opportunities over there. And they'll tell you where public spaces are in your area or in your section of the state that you can explore. They also have reports on stocking. And if they do electric shocking, they'll have them reports up there too. So that's a lot of the times that's where I start. I always, the Illinois DNR site's okay. The Wisconsin website's really good. Tools like FishBrain, which I have kind of a gig with FishBrain. So I get the FishBrain Pro app, which is pretty cool. You can filter by month and species when you're looking for catches, and that'll give you an idea of where the fish are at that time of the year. That's a pretty valuable tool. Whether you call it cheating or whatever, the more information you get, the better time you're going to have on the water. And when you're bank fishing, it's not as easy as if you're on a boat. A boat, you can always get up and move. When you're bank fishing, you can't always do that. So I would definitely start with the DNR's website and then maybe considering getting an app like FishBrain or I think there's another one called Osmo. Maybe you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a few out there that are pretty good.
Yep, I agree. That's a great place to start. And don't think for a minute that the conservation, well, ours is the Department of Conservation, yours DNR. Every state calls them a little bit different. That the only place they put brush piles and things out, because most of them put out piles of brush for panfish throughout these lakes, and they're not all just out randomly away from anywhere you can walk down to, because they do place them around docks and close to bank fishermen also have great fishing. And if you look on the Missouri Department of Conservation area, they mark those and tell you where they put them. And if you find one that's been there for a year or more, it will be more productive than the ones that are just recently been.
Another thing that you can't deny is word of mouth. Ask around, network with other fishermen in your area, see what's going on. A lot of times, when you're face to face with a person on the bank or on a bait shop or something like that, they're more open as far as giving you some ideas. And right. I've even come across some guys who've given me the wrong information, but that is what it is. I'll remember you. Don't forget. I'm going to remember that.
Absolutely. But most guys are very nice and courteous about helping you out, especially if they think you're new or just starting out. And a kid can get any information. Mm-hmm. And they should be.
That's the hardest part about bank fishing, is finding not only spots, but productive spots, at least in this area. Deciding how far you're going to travel. I was doing some bank fishing at the beginning of the year because it worked out better for me personally. So I got, like I said, on the DNR website, and I also used FishBrain, and I was able to find a place out in Winnebago County, which is, I don't know, it's about an hour away from me. I went out there trying to look for some crappie, ended up catching like 10 they just stocked it with trout. I got like 10 trout that day. So that was a fun day nonetheless. But I didn't even know that they stocked the trout out in that direction or in that body of water. Now I know. I also know that the crappie are in there, but that was a fun day of fishing. And if I never looked or never, gone out further than my zip code, Josh, I would have found that. But Josh always gives me a hard time about not leaving my zip code.
Really?
So, yeah. I did this year. I've been all over this year so far. Kind of. What's up, Paul? How you doing? P&B catfishing in the house. Want to make sure we say hello to him. Matt says Rusty Wallace is a beast.
He was in his day.
kind of scanning through the chat, trying to get a little caught up here. We got a lot of people coming here, and we appreciate each and every one. There's Greg Burgess. I believe Lyle said hello to you, Greg.
We have the Crappie Kid has joined us. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, he's got a new video. I think he was out under a bridge in his last video. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I did see the thumbnail. So I'll make sure to watch that coming up here soon. Danny Stone says, if you're standing on ice, does that count as bank fishing? No.
Not even close.
But you know what, though, Lyle? If you're a bank fisherman and you do have ice in your area, ice fishing is a great way to get off the bank. If you don't have a boat, you can't afford a boat, you don't want to buy a boat, ice fishing is a good way about it. That's why a lot of guys go, I want to say they go crazy. I'm not going to say the bad word. I almost said the ape word, but they go crazy over ice fishing because it expands their fishing, possibilities. They're able to try different water and do that. So don't knock ice fishing. If you're able to get on that ice, you don't need to get all the fancy equipment. You can pick up a cheap flasher and use, cheap ice fishing tackle. HT sells a lot of cheap and inexpensive ice fishing gear. That's a way to expand on your bank fishing. So I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that comment, Danny.
Yeah. Now the big difference between ice fishing and bank fishing that I can see is the bank don't crack.
Smirnoff Outdoors, and I mispronounced that purposely, says,
really?
Panfish, I'm sight fishing. Weeds, rocks, or wood. I like that. Yeah, structure, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with him on that. I sure do.
Lance, what's going on, Lance? Lance, the Hawaiian fisherman. How you doing, bud? There we go. I'm not even going to read. All right, so we got down how we find bank spots. All right, once you're there, you got to bring gear with you. If you can park near to where you're fishing, you can always sit on your tailgate, or even better, if you have, Lord forbid, you got an SUV or a minivan even that's got a tailgate that pops up. Those are great for bank fishing because you got that shade, you got the protection from the sun and the rain. You can sit underneath that tailgate that lifts up. You're in business. You're good to go. You got all your gear. You got your food behind you. You're good to go. A wagon helps when you're bank fishing. Obviously, a lot of guys use wagons. Put all your stuff in there. Other than that, bring your snacks, your tackle, bring water, be hydrated. Because if you're sitting on a bank in the sun, you're going to get dehydrated pretty quick. If you're going to bring some adult beverages, make sure you're in an area where you can consume adult beverages and have a responsible driver take you home afterwards. I want to make sure that you do that. Because if anybody says that that's not a part of fishing for some people, they would be lying to you, and it absolutely is. So
it is for a lot of people. It is, and there's nothing wrong with that as long as you control
yourself. Danny's comment threw me off. What did you say, Lyle?
I said there's nothing wrong with that as long as you know how to handle it.
Exactly, and it's not a problem. And if it is, there's always places to get you help. We want the best for anybody and everybody.
That's right.
All right, so now, bank fishing, you kind of got to be ready to fish, at least for me, multiple techniques, right? There's, obviously vertical jigging, float fishing, bottom fishing, drop shot fishing. All of those are probably going to be beneficial to have available to you. If you don't have 3 or 4 rods with you, make sure you're good at tying up and setting up those rigs, because you'd be surprised. You'd be drop shot one day, get no fish, you get that bait up above their head, and then bluegills go crazy for it. So have weighted bobbers with you so you can get baits out. Have non-weighted bobbers so you can keep the presentation more finesse than anything. Things like that is what I have. I probably pack too much when I go like actual bank fishing. When I'm bait fishing, I go. Yeah, Lyle's got a Sherpa that he brings with him, pays him top dollar, carries all his gear around on the bank.
I wish. I do, Mark. I do take 2 slip cork rods set up, ready to go. I take at least 1 drop shot. I take 2 to 3 set up with different types of jigs on them. And I always have 1 set up for 1 fish. And sometimes I got more of them than that. And it's kind of hard to keep them all separated out in the back of the truck. But it only takes a second to untangle them babies, and whatever's not working, you just go get something different.
Something different, plain simple. You know, I saw something on YouTube. I forget the name of the gentleman's show. He's a guide from up north here in Wisconsin. And also when I was fishing with Jerry Hohausen last week, he was using those rocket bobbers. Lyle, you ever hear of them?
I've heard of them. I've not seen one.
Now I need to order some. I need to buy some. When I go to buy them, I'll let you know. You can hang along with. You can come along for that ride because they're fairly cheap. Won't get me divorced or nothing like that. So, basically, what they do with them is why I want to try them. Is they fish them weightless for panfish, and when you fish them for weightless, they're like a regular Thill bobber, long, you know, with the bulb in the middle of it. And they were fishing them, and they lay on the water like this. So when you get a real light bite, you can see the tip just raise up out of the water like that, just barely. Where if you have it sitting straight up and down in the water, you're not always apt to notice that slight quarter-inch, half-inch, you know, drop in elevation of that bobber. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying some of that, especially when I'm out bait fishing. So I'll let you know how that goes, and I'll give you guys a full review, whether they stink or whether they're great, but I think they're going to be pretty good. So.
Oh, they'd have to be good, yeah. I don't know how far behind you are on chat.
I'm right here with Matt. He says, I can't imagine what it sounds like hitting something like that in a boat. That
You're
piece of
wire way behind.
Yeah, I'm a long ways behind.
We have a great comment from the Crappie Kid when you get down to it.
All right, we'll get down to it. Let me read this one, Danny. Josh Dunnigan is a master at navigating a boat at night. He still scares the hell out of me, though. Oh, I'll scare you, Danny, but I'll be just as scared there with you. I just send it anyways, which is probably not a good idea.
Oh, I don't know.
Mark, what's even funnier is they had no clue the live had ended. They was backstage for 30 to 45 minutes till I went back in there and told them what happened. That's kind of funny. Hey, the Crappie Kid says, I miss ice fishing for wallies. He also says, I use a 10 by 10 when in the sun. Great for those fishing trips. I have one of them. You know, they're fairly cheap. They used to be like $300 back in the day. Now you can pick one up at Walmart for about $100, which isn't too bad. $100 for a canopy is a lot cheaper than doctor bills for having to get something removed from your skin for skin cancer, which is a bad thing. Matt says, Mark, honestly, I found that a nice waterproof tarp with tarp poles is easier than a canopy. You can even make it in addition to your truck bed cover. Hey, that'll work. That does work. I have like those ultralight survival tarps in my garage. I'll take one of them if I'm going somewhere like that, just in case. You never know. Like when we're fishing, when we used to bank fish at night, Lyle, for Flathead here, we would bring a tarp just to keep the dew off us and set it up like a lean-to and just sit under there. Pretty good. It would work fairly well. You know, also we had like those little camp stoves we would use for heat because you can't really have a campfire in some of the places that we do, but they would let you have one of them little camp stoves, you know, with an open flame. So we would sit around that thing and stay warm. So, and that tarp would keep that heat underneath there fairly well.
Yeah, they will. You was talking about the survival ones. You're talking about the silver shiny ones?
No, I'm talking about like the lightweight ones. These bushcraft guys talk about always on that. They're not those space blankets I think you're talking about, which are good to have in an emergency kit. You should definitely have them, but I don't think they hold up as well. They're not as reusable as you'd need them to be if you want to keep them in your you know, hard use kit.
When you need them, they work well.
What's going on, Guerrero? Let's see. Crappie Kid says, I carry slip corks, number 7 slip shot, and a number 6 true turn hooks, and a basket of crickets, and a good 24 wigglers. They're right there. That's a good setup right there.
That's a great setup for starters.
Those true turn hooks, I used to use them quite a bit till I found those Pro V hooks, which work exceptionally as well. But those true turn hooks, those are pretty good. They actually got kind of a bend in them so that when the fish bite, it kind of turns the hook as they bite, or so they say. It's hard to say unless you get a camera down there, and I never have. So,
but you have.
Those are good hooks. Now, some of the other things that I like to do, and I think I've seen the Crappie Kid do this as well, now that I'm thinking of it, is one of the best things I did for bank fishing, especially for panfish, was get a 12-foot rod, Lyle. Not for casting, because I could reach out into those little brush piles and drop a jig right in there and see what's in there. It's a great way of fishing. And then even when the crappie and the bluegill are on beds, you can drop them baits right inside them beds. That in combination with a set of the sunglasses like we talked about, the polarized ones, they're pretty deadly to have on your side when you're fishing that way. So you can always, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on a long rod like that. You don't need a real expensive reel. Buy the cheapest reel you can. And I got a carbon fiber B&M 12-footer from Walmart on clearance for $18, Lyle.
Yeah, that's cheap.
That's cheap.
I don't really have any desire for one that long. I don't like long rods over 8 foot. But I'd buy one for that price if I seen it on clearance.
I'm telling you, once you start taking that rod and dropping it right inside them brush piles that are right next to the bank or in rock piles and stuff, and you start getting hit, you might change your mind. It's a pretty fun way to fish.
I think so. But most of my stuff is rods that I build, and I can buy them blanks and build them. The issue with that is the blanks that I buy. Hell, you could buy a dozen of them things for the price of one blank, but just the blank costs me.
Well, you don't always need to make your own rods, Lyle. You can have like one or two that.
Oh, I do have a couple that I didn't make, but I'm telling you, Mark, and people may just think I'm blowing smoke, but it don't matter who makes it. I don't care what company you buy it from. It will not work as good as a good custom build. Period. They just don't. But I'm not going to do it for free. The parts are more expensive. They're not for everyone. But it's like buying a Volkswagen and a 500 GT Mustang. There's that much difference.
You mean a Mopar?
No par?
Stop it. Speaking of that, I was going to send you and Creel some memes that I found.
I have a computer full of them. So I have a nephew that the big Chevrolet guy, and I have so many of them memes ragging on him and them Chevrolets that he quit sending them to me.
I've been watching that channel called Junkyard Digs. This guy's in Iowa. He finds all these barn cars, and his main thing is he gets them running and he drives them, sometimes further than others. One time he drove all the way from California all the way back to Iowa in a car. He burned I want to say like 10 gallons of Lucas oil additive in that car getting that back home because it had such a bad front seal leak. Good channel. Man, that guy's a Ford guy. That guy's a Ford guy. You'd like him.
Yeah, I've watched some of his stuff. He's pretty good.
There's our buddy Jerry Parker. Jerry Parker says, I use number 2 drop shot hooks for bigger bluegills, and red ears works perfectly good. I use Aberdeens. Number 2 Aberdeens, usually my hook of choice. Those Pro Vs, they'll get in. They'll smaller fish are still able to get the hook set on them just because of that Pro V. Those work pretty good. I understand Jerry had a good day this week too out there. He said he killed the crappie. I don't see any pictures. I just have pictures of some carp he caught that he's going to use for bait, but I'm sure Jerry got on them. So,
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Those are all good hooks. And here the crappie.
Tell you what I miss. I miss finding good quality cane poles.
Good quality what?
Cane poles.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not talking about a brim buster or none of that except expandable stuff. I'm talking about a good quality cane pole. And you can buy cane poles, but they're not very well.
I think we need to order you some bamboo, and we're going to come out with the Lyle Stokes Blackhorse Customs. Guys, place your orders. Contact Lyle through Facebook.
Do you know how you build bamboo? You cut it up into little strips and you glue it all back together to make it.
Those are those fly rods they make in Japan that cost you $2,500.
Yeah, I ain't doing none of that. Well, even the others are made that. The good ones. I mean, Yeah.
You should do that for me, bud. You should make me one of them.
Yeah, I probably should, but I probably not. I'll get me a good quality graphite blank.
There you go. You know, they said they do sell those Black Widow collapsible ones. You mentioned the telescopic ones. I got two in the garage, and they're not all that bad. For I mean, what's a cane pole got to be? You know what I mean? It definitely work. And you could get something like that instead of like a 12-foot fiberglass rod or whatever. You know, you could just use a cane pole. It's basically the same thing. You just want to drop that jig or that bait right into those piles and find them fish. So
that's right.
Right here, Crappie, get this. His Jimmy Houston custom was only $24. That's a heck of a deal.
Cheap enough. That's cheap enough. I didn't even know Jimmy Houston had any rods out.
Yeah, you know, they pay to use names and stuff, but that's all good. I would hope, you know, Jimmy, here's a story. You know, Jimmy Houston, I'm not a big bass guy, but who doesn't like Jimmy Houston? He's a legend, so to speak.
He is.
He was subscriber #1 to my YouTube channel, Lyle.
Really?
Yep. I made a comment on one of his videos. He had just started getting back into YouTube, and he says, "Gosh darn it, Catfish and Crappie! I wish I thought of that name. That's a cool name. I just subscribed." And there it was, one subscriber, Jimmy Houston. So I was like, awesome. So that's something I'll remember every time I see that name. So
Greg Burgess, you are 100% correct, Mundo.
I saw that. I'll highlight that just for you to make your night. Matt says, I had to upgrade my hook today. The pumpkin seeds were getting the Aberdeen way too far down. Matt, there's two things you can do to prevent from gut hook and panfish. Is one, pay closer attention. Be very, very receptive to what's going on. Number two, use a jig head. Jig heads are more apt to stop when they're inhaling those hooks at the mouth, so they don't get caught too deep. Also, look up fish pick or those small, tiny fish degougers. I've been meaning to make a video on how to turn a chopstick into one. It's fairly easy, and they work great. Even when they get gut hook, you can get that chopstick down into the fish's mouth way down deep, and you put a little V cut in the top of it. You seal it off with whether it's Sally Hansen's or UV glue, and you can get that hook out that way. It's just like a smaller version of those plastic degougers they sell in most places, Matt. So
another trick, Mark, is to use the real long shank cricket hooks.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they'll keep them from swallow them, but you got something to get a hold of to unhook it and pull them
out. Parker says, I have 8-foot Mad Slabs rod. Absolutely love it. And it's it also a Panfish Mafia 7'6". Use whatever it works, man. Panfish is not really that gear sensitive. I don't know how else to describe it, you know. Unless you want a Blackhorse custom, then Lyle will build you one. Tell him you want the custom panfish, cane pole. He'll set you right up.
Not gonna happen.
Crappie Kid says, what about a good old brim buster, a telescopic 12-foot? Everybody should have one. See, some people love them.
And that's great. I have not used one. I don't like telescoping rods because every one I ever touched, I broke. Every one.
You know, I'm going to agree with Greg on this one because I am not a Chevy guy. If he'd have replaced Chevy with Mopar, we'd have problems. But he said, Lyle, I would rather walk and carry a Ford hubcaps than drive a Chevy.
You can either drive the best or push the rest.
Mm-hmm. I'd say the heat's getting to you, too. Jerry says, if I'm able to pull off a win for the Top Cat, going to have Lyle make me a crappie rod or maybe a bass rod to aggravate him. Lyle's on team bass fishing.
What?
Never mind. Matt says, I just messaged Lyle for my order, Mark. He said,
I just sent him an answer. Well, I was going to. They hit the wrong button.
Jimmy makes a nice panfish rod as well, from 8-foot to 14-foot rods. Good stuff. There's my buddy Ryan. What's going on? Setting hooks and crossing eyes. Guerrero says, I use a stick I find, use my knife to notch it, and it gets the hook out. Same concept. That's what Guerrero's telling me. He makes a little notch in the top, even with a stick. Chopsticks work good just because they're straight. But yeah, that's the same idea, just to get the hooks out of them. So
yeah, I have some that a guy gave me a bunch of them one time to give away at fishing tournaments. It's some kind of de-hooking thing. I've used it for years. It's the only one of them that I ever had that I didn't lose, and I still got it. But I've misplaced it from time to time. But they're not hard to make. There's 100 videos on YouTube that show you how to make them in different ways, and it just has to be small enough you can get it in a bluegill spot, because they're the worst culprits about swallowing that stuff there is.
You know, they make them in plastic in the ice fishing world because they do a lot of pan fishing, and I think they're like $12 or something like that. But they also come with a retractable like reel that you can clip onto your shirt pocket or whatever, so it's always handy if you want to go that route. There's no reason why you can't. The reason people are successful in whatever they come up with and sell is because they fill a niche, and that definitely is simplicity and convenience in that one. So I could get the name for that if you wanted me to. So
welcome, Ryan. Glad to see you made it in tonight.
Ryan says, I keep a telescoping rod in the work truck with a jig head tied on. There you go.
There you go.
I actually keep stink bait in my truck, Lyle.
You're kidding.
No, I don't. I keep it in there. As long as it's closed, it doesn't stink up the bed of my truck too much. And the warmer it is, the gooier it is, I feel it works better. But if I see like a pond, if my wife is shopping or at an appointment and there's a pond behind the building, guess where you'll find me?
In there shopping, furnishing the credit card.
No. I'm avoiding that. They got apps now. I can set limits on her credit cards. Just don't tell her she can do that to mine. I don't want her to know.
Yeah, don't do that before we go shopping with yours.
So we got have a good backpack or a tackle bag. Even wear one of them weird looking fanny packs for wagging it. I have like a sling bag that I call my bait purse or satchel that I take with me bait fishing. It holds just enough. I'm able to keep mobile. You don't want to bring too much gear. Granted, most bank spots aren't that big, but you still want to fish it thoroughly. You want to fish it out, out into the water, back up right next to the thing. You want to fish different depths and from side to side. You just want to cover it. You'd be surprised how focused of an area panfish will stay in. I've fished, 20 feet to the left and 20 feet to the right is where all the fish were.
That's right. That'll
happen too quite a bit. So keep that in mind. And before we get too close to the end, I think, I've been yapping away for almost an hour. Keeping your fish if you're going to keep fish, and there's no reason why you can't harvest responsibly, Lyle, right?
That's right.
We're firm believers. You get yourself one of the baskets like James Dockery has, and the kind that Lyle packs so tight that he kills all sorts of panfish in. Get you a basket. Don't pack it too much. I like the Eagle Claw ones that float, Lyle. Those work really well. The flap lid on top, that'll keep that off. It'll keep it from crushing the fish. It'll keep them alive. The fish will be fresher. They taste better. If you decide you only got 2 or 3 fish in that basket, by the time you're done, they're still in good enough shape to release. You don't have to take 3 home and clean them.
That's right. I agree.
Stringers work good, but once you have a stringer and you put that fish on that stringer, you're taking that fish home. So if you only got one keeper walleye or one keeper crappie on there, you're going to have to take that home and clean it anyways. And for me, a lot of times if I just get one small fish, it's really not worth all that much.
No, I don't want to clean one.
Have your cooler ready to go. You don't necessarily need ice in that cooler. You can always throw that fish in a bucket with some water till you get to the gas station when you can buy a 7-pound bag of ice. I never buy ice before I go out. I always get it on the way home because a lot of times, why spend the $5 for 7 pounds of ice when you ain't going to use it? You know what I mean?
That's right. I wasn't laughing at you, Mark. I was laughing at Greg's comment. It's so funny.
Let's see what Greg said. Okay, Lyle. This one is from Mark. I never said Fort suck. The Fords suck. They are right. They suck up to Dodge and Chevys. You know, Greg, it's too hot down there. Pickling your brain.
I have an old movie setting for me to watch when we're done that I haven't seen for a long time. It's about Don Perdome and Tom McEwen, steak and mongoose for guys that's been around as long as I have. They used to follow drag racing back when they was the big deal, you know. Uh, and I'm anxious to watch that again tonight because it's pretty true to life, the best I remember.
Matt says, so Mark has a purse. Come on, Mark. You really need to get out of that state. I do need to get out of this. And there we go. Guerrero says, I just found a half full tub of Triple S dip bait. As long as it's closed. If it was lost, I'm guarantee you it was closed. Or else you didn't know you had it.
He also had a post up there a little bit while ago when we was on another topic about a 20-foot extendable rod. 20 foot.
I had a net company send me Ranger Nets sent me I had problems with my big net. It was no fault except of mine. I pulled a big like flathead out of the water the wrong way, and I bent the net, not the hoop, but the handle. Right. So I emailed them. I'm like, hey, I want to order a new handle for this net. How much? They're like, holy smokes, what are you catching that you bent them? I sent them a picture of those flathead, and they're like, man, we'll send you that for free. You want anything else? I'm like, I could use a crappie net. So they sent me a 14-foot extendable crappie net.
Wow.
So I got one of them sitting in the garage. You know what I use that for, Lyle? Catching birds in the garage when they get in there.
I won't tell you what I've done with the long crappie net that I got.
All right, we'll talk after the show.
Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. I had wood bees in my shed. Underneath the bottom, they go up through there, and they dive bomb at me when I was mowing the grass. I sprayed them with everything they make on the market today, and nothing would kill them. Knock them down, they just fly off. They didn't get away from that crappie net and me stomping their ass. I'll tell you that right now.
I had the same incident with my shed here in the backyard. I got one of them Rubbermaid sheds in the backyard, and they got hollow doors, and that door was full of carpenter bees, Lyle, and nothing would kill them. I finally stuck a hose down in there and turned the hose on and ran across that yard. I didn't think I could still run at my age, but I ran that day. This was last summer. Oh, you'd run when there was 25 of them. And I had to get rid of them because these knucklehead dogs that are snoring behind me, if you guys can hear them, they're over there. They think they're air raisins or something. Jeff brings up a good point. He says he just bought a telescopic fold-up net. Great for trout, bass, bait, probably bluegill too. They're pretty good. So Fraybill makes a nice fold-up one. I actually keep one in my boat as well, which works pretty good.
Yeah, Fraybill makes really good nets.
Yep. Ryan over at Setting Hooks Across the Ice says, Mark, have you panfished on the river at all? Yeah, I have, and I got a couple of spots. If you're looking for a spot, tell me. I'll share them with you. There's like two spots that are on the main river, and then obviously in a couple of the channels. So that I know of that I've had luck, but they're all small, Ryan. They're probably good bait-sized ones. I haven't caught any monsters. What do you got there, Lyle? You want the solo layout?
One I was going to show a while ago, and I forgot to.
There you go. That'll fish.
And compared to my thumb,
little tiny things.
Yeah, they're not very big. About an inch and overall length, about an inch and an eighth or so.
I have. Speaking of showing stuff off, Matt sent me some pictures. Why don't I share those
Matt's
pictures?
Been on the fish here lately.
Yeah, Matt's got the bug. He finally figured out when you get off the couch, you catch some fish. Look at that. Look at that pretty. What is that? I don't know.
That's a long-eared sunfish, isn't it?
Is that? Yeah, that is a long ear, ain't it? But look how pretty that is. Pretty fish. It looks like he's using. I think he told me he's using the wedgie tails from Crappie Man jigs. Those are some nice ones too. He uses a little piece of rubber for a tail in them. Lyle, they work pretty well.
They do.
Look at that. Matt's got some big hands, so that fish isn't as small as it. Look at the look on his face. Look how happy and bald he is.
Heck yeah. He got
Look
a
at
double.
that. Looks like me. I know. Big double whammy there. And I think that's the tank he's got. He's dropping them in, saving them for bait. I think he's got flathead fever. So Matt sent me those pictures. You know, I can't help it. I'm not trying to steal the thunder from the bragging board on Monday nights, but when people send me pictures, I want to make sure that I send them out to thank them for sharing them with us. So 100%. So you got anything else? Well, hold on a second. Let me see. I pulled Danny says I pulled a fish basket up once and 6 water snakes had their heads stuck in it trying to get my fish.
No, I ain't doing that.
That sounds like
they then owned that basket.
Here's another good piece of advice. I love dry bags, and I'm kind of crushed. I had a really good one, Lyle, that I got like for dirt cheap on sale that disappeared somehow. I think somebody stole it from me, but that's another story because I used to keep all my microfiber rags and my a spray bottle full of hot sauce boat details. So whenever I'd get off the water, I'd have it and it would always be dry and it'd always be working. But Parker says, get yourself a rubber lined dry bag they use on kayaks. Put some ice in it, put your fish in it. If you have to walk a long distance, you can wear it like a backpack. Yes, you can.
There you go.
That's a great tip right there,
great
bud.
Tip.
Yeah, man, mine was 50 liters as well. Okay, let me see what we got here. I think we're all set, Lyle. Did I forget anything? Did we not cover anything?
I think we kind of got it. The biggest thing is find you a place to go fishing and don't slow down. Just go.
Yeah, that's the biggest obstacle is finding bank fishing spots. So once you get them in your bag of tricks, so to speak, you start stacking up. You learn where the fish are. I would, if you're going to do a lot of bank fishing in a lot of different places, keep you a fishing log. Write down what you caught, the conditions, time of year, and you can go from there. Before you know it, you're going to have a small index of good fishing spots right there in the palm of your hand. You can go on Amazon and buy the waterproof paper pads with those space pens, and they work good. You can write on them in the rain, upside down, all sorts of stuff. There's no reason to not have something like that. So
that's right. That's exactly right. Fun show tonight as always, Mark.
Thank you, Lyle, for having me. I always have fun talking.
Well, we just try to help people catch more fish. That's the whole idea, and give them some ideas to think about. And if with what they already know and what we can add to it, hopefully they'll catch more fish. And like I say, the best thing to do is just get out and go.
Yep,
even if you don't catch fish, it's so relaxing just to be out there amongst me.
Like Betty Jean told me, I'm getting old. I don't have too many fishing trips left in me, so I better take as many as I can. I can't believe she told me that.
I can believe she said that.
I can believe it. It hurt. It hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. And you know what, Lyle, I need to say one thing before I end the show. Okay. Greg, you need to stay out of that heat down there, bud. It's getting to you. Good night, everybody.